feeling like I'm academics.
Drake and Spotify. Nah, Drake lawsuit, Spotify. There's some random guy. It's like some bum who's suing Spotify, basically saying he's heard so much about botting that he wants to get, he feels he has lost earnings based on rappers that are bigger that probably utilize bots that gained them attention and took attention away from him, right? So let me actually just play this, and then I'm gonna grab my dogs real quick.
Of the bot accounts that were streaming his songs.
Okay, this chick.
For example.
Okay. Is there anybody who's like not fucking monotone and boring, bro? Respectfully. All right, maybe this is
the plaintiffs describe the company's anti-fraud policies as inadequate and accuse it of turning a blind eye to the problem.
Oh my God, this will put me to sleep. Let me see. Jesus. Where's that black chick that usually be talking about lawsuits? Is it her? Yeah, this is the one right here. Yeah, I like her.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, I like her. Oh, she didn't talk about the Drake shit yet? Fuck. I like her.
I'm not a lawyer, but I am a wife.
Shorts. Nah, she did not. No, it's another black lady, I think.
I'm not a lawyer, but I am.
All right, I'm going to have to break this down my damn self. Chat, you know when you're trying to find somebody else that does your job? Like, this is my job. But nobody does it good? What the fuck? Everybody's just boring. God damn. I would play this Breakfast Club thing, but they're anti-Drake heavy. All right, I'm going to play this boring ass chick. Just give me a couple minutes. I got to grab my dose.
Accounts that were streaming his songs.
Give me one second. I'm going to grab my dose.
For example, plaintiff is informed and believes that over a 4-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of Drake's song, No Face, originated in Turkey, but were falsely geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to the United Kingdom in an attempt to obscure their origins. A new federal class action lawsuit has been filed against Spotify, accusing the company of allowing large-scale streaming fraud in which automated bot networks allegedly inflated play counts for certain artists, most notably Drake, to make their songs appear more popular than they really were. The case was filed by rapper Eric Collins, known as RBX, on behalf of a proposed class of songwriters, performers, producers, and rights holders who claim they lost money as a result of this manipulation. RBX first gained fame through his work on Dr. Dre's The Chronic and Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Style, later releasing solo albums including The RBX Files, No Mercy, No Remorse, and The Shining. The complaint positions him as the representative for a broad class of creators whose royalties were allegedly diluted by fraudulent streaming activity. The lawsuit claims that Spotify either failed to prevent or knowingly tolerated massive bot-driven inflation in streaming counts that skewed royalty payouts. It argues that this artificial activity enriched a small number of artists while reducing payments to others whose music was streamed by real listeners. According to the filing, Spotify knew or should have known the manipulation was happening, but failed to act because it benefited from the appearance of higher overall engagement. The plaintiffs describe the company's anti-fraud policies as inadequate and accuse it of turning a blind eye to the problem. Spotify responded publicly by saying that it takes botting very seriously and that fraudulent streams provide no benefit to the company. That statement, however, was a public relations response, not a legal one. And if you notice, it does not address the detailed...
Yo, do people watch this chick? This chick is boring as watching paint dry. God damn. Like, read with a little enthusiasm. Actually, no, I want to beef with her. No beef. My bad. All right, let me pull up the court documents. All these motherfuckers hate Drake, so like, I know y'all gonna think, well, Ack, you're on Drake's side too much, whatever. But I'm just gonna read whatever this bullshit is, because if you left it up to Rolling Stone, they made it seem like this person is suing Drake, and it's some random artist that is unsuccessful that is suing Spotify, and they're claiming that Spotify has not done enough to prevent botted streams, and they feel like their art has suffered from that. And they make examples of artists that they're saying, well, we heard reports about blah, 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 blah. Okay? Now, let me just pull up this paperwork. Actually, where is it? We're not going to read through the whole thing, but we could skip through it a bit. Where is it at? Is it here? Where is it? Fuck. Give me 1 second, all right? Give me 1 second. Where is this shit? Does anybody have the lawsuit? We're kind of like in an interesting time now where I can't just read a top. If I read the article, just to let y'all know, Rolling Stones, the people who like Rolling Stone, they just all you need to know. Chat, we got to start uncovering some of these things right here. Not Culture Council. Where's the board? Rolling Stone. Who else is on there? Chairman. I think that Rock Nation chick is on there. I'm gonna cap with you. Let me see if I can find it. Who is on board? Oh, it doesn't even say. Fuck it. Whatever. Anyway, the point is this. Media these days is definitely being influenced by who and what you're getting the information reported from. And listen, I hope you guys take everything with a grain of salt. You know, I like to wear my biases on my sleeve. No one's unbiased. Even if they claim to be, they're usually covertly biased one way or the other. Like, sure, if you want to say, yo, Ack, well, we think you're going to be more in favor of Drake. Well, nigga, I tell you that every day. I'm not lying about it. I'm not acting like, no, I'm just calling it a spade a spade. No, I'm a Drake fan, gang. Like, you know what I mean? It is what it is, right? Now, on certain things, I can't, there's no wiggle room for interpretation, so I just got to call it what it is. But there is going to be a slight bias built in. At least with me, you could see it on the surface. There's multiple other ways where it's happening. I've been telling you about this Rock Nation strategy. They got a bunch of media niggas who are paid for and a bunch of media partners that if they need to roll out an agenda, do a hit piece or a takedown, they do it in very interesting ways. They're not going to do it through the loudmouth blogger like me. Well, I don't do nothing with them. But they would do it through like a Rolling Stone. They would do it through some of their media partners that they're already in bed with, right? So I want to look up this lawsuit, but I got to find the actual lawsuit without reading it on a website, because you read it on a website, if they want to point out Drake, they're just going to make it all about Drake. So I just want to read the raw document. Where the fuck is it? Could somebody send it to me? I just need this shit sent. I need the entire lawsuit sent. Give me 1 second. Oh, it's RBX. That's the guy's name. I'm just pulling up the lawsuit. RBX. Here. Is it this? Why can't I find this? Yes. Okay. Thank you. I got it. Now, I'm going to go through this quick. This is not like one of the really important things that we need to care about that much. But since everybody else who's covering this shit is either a Rock Nation shill or boring as paint, nobody does like Big Act, right? Come on now. Let's get to it. So I got the court documents. Bang. Here we go. All right, cool. What? Okay, good. So I want to be very clear on what this is, and we're not going for headlines. So if you've never seen nothing about this before, fuck what you've seen. Just go off what Ak is telling you, because we got the paperwork here. We're just going to tell you what it is. So number one, this is a class action lawsuit. This is what you ever see, like, there's a medication that come out or be like, oh shit, this company overcharged your subscribers by blah, 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 blah. And a class action lawsuit was filed, and then they're paying out mad amount of money, right? So this is an attempt to get Spotify, right? And I want to show you. So basically, there's a guy named Eric Dwayne Collins, aka RBX. He's suing Spotify, okay? Now, there's been a bunch of stuff going on with Spotify. Spotify has came under fire for some, pretty much, don't listen to me, Spotify Turkey. There was an investigation going on that alleged that there were playlist bribery, and they were being probed by the government. Now, I want to be very clear. Spotify is a company that's based in Sweden and operates in most major countries. It has not been officially announced that it's been investigated in or about the United States for having fraudulent streams or anything of the sort. But Spotify was investigated in Turkey. Now, what happened is, I think people are seeing maybe there's blood in the water. So this guy, and I believe he's from the West Coast, RBX. He's filed a class action lawsuit. What a class action lawsuit is a lawsuit that could have multiple people who are plaintiff, and it's going to represent their interest, right? Now, you would sign on to this thing, and basically you would acknowledge that you're right to sue this person for mutually for the mutual wrong that was done. You plan to be represented, and your interests will go into this class action lawsuit, right? So that's the way how they get, like, Microsoft to pay millions or billions of dollars. Oh, your user data got breached, right? And they just pay one big lump sum. Now, why do I mention that? It's only one nigga that's involved right now. So this is a class action lawsuit. It could have 1 million people. It's only one nigga. And that's the thing about headlines that's misleading. It looks like a big thing, right? Now, if I came to you and said there's a class action lawsuit with 1 million paying, let's not say 1 million, because I was talking about subscribers. Let's say 200 artists. 200 artists signed on to do a class action versus Spotify. You would say, wow, that might have some validity, right? If it's 2,000, whoa, that sounds like a big deal. This is one guy that we've never heard of till today. But okay. So he's suing, and it's going to be a class action complaint, which means he's allowing for other people to sign on. Currently, nobody ain't signed on. Now, let's go to fuck the introduction. We're just going to go. Okay, so here's the first mention of Drake, and it's mentioned in the intro. Now, usually when we read these, we've read enough like civil suits, especially when it came to like the Diddy stuff, that really we just need to go to, there's a section in here where all the details are going to be in, right? Not factual background is right after that. It's here we go. It's what kind of outlines what they consider the wrongs are. Okay, the claims. So there's going to be some type of claims or allegation section. So that's what we need to get to. But let's read this intro. And the reason why I'm giving you guys this, word salad of an explanation is that when you're a media company looking for headlines, you could just be like the vulture that just circles and just pick what you want and create what you want, which is technically right, but contextually wrong, right? So this is an intro. This guy is look, nobody gives a fuck about him. He's talking about, oh yeah, it's so hard to make it in the music business. Whoop-de-doo, nigga. Okay? Then he's like, well, we work so hard to get payments from Spotify. Then he says, as described, there's billions of fraudulent streams with respect to songs, the most streamed artists of all time. Okay? And he is taking aim at Drake here. But while the streaming fraud with respect to Drake may be one example, it does not stand alone. Then it said there's mass fraud. Spotify publicly claims that it has policies to root out the fraud, but it's nothing more than window dressing. Okay, cool. So they use Drake as an example, but they said that it's Spotify's fault that they're not doing nothing about it. I don't think Drake is mentioned again here, but we're going to go down to what these allegations are, which is what we should care about, right? And once again, this is not a Drake lawsuit. This is a lawsuit against Spotify. So this nigga, Eric Dwayne Collins, known as RBX, he's in Long Beach, California. Now, is it ironic here, chat, that it's a West Coast nigga that's now pointing the finger back at Drake to say, you're the one botting? After, I believe the rapper synonymous with botting right now is Kendrick. Whether he does it all the time, sometimes, or no time. People have kind of identified like, nah, that nigga botting. You get what I'm saying? Is it ironic that someone also from the West Coast is now kind of reverse Uno in it to Drake? Who knows, right? Now this nigga's talking about his music. Nobody gives a fuck about his music, but we want to hear these allegations. Wait, he doesn't have much here. Oh, this is about the plaintiff, so actually I'm reading this wrong. Sorry. Okay, so they're trying to build a subclass, the full class action. Okay, so here's the claims. They said that the plaintiff incorporates by reference in this claim for, Spotify is an operator of the musical platform, has a duty to care for its members, Defendants also undertook and assumed a duty that its platform was not being surreptitiously manipulated by a third party. Okay. But when are you coming with some shit, though? It says Spotify has breached its duty by failing to detect, turning a blind eye, and failing to properly address and artificially inflating streams because the increase in overall music streams allows Spotify to generate more revenue for itself. They failed to put in place a more adequate monitoring, detection, and remedial measures to identify artificial streaming. By failing to do so, they're saying it hurts right holders and songwriters and people like that. Okay. So essentially, I guess they're saying Spotify isn't doing enough to handle the bot situation, right? And it's funny because, let me see if I could find these instances of bot allegations, but it looks here. Okay. Okay, so they said Drake is a well-known songwriter whose music is available for streaming on Spotify. In fact, Drake is purportedly the most streamed artist of all time on the platform. In September 2025, Drake became the first artist to achieve 120 billion streams on Spotify. However, on information believed that the voluminous information of which Spotify knows or should know that shows in between January 2022 and September 2025, a substantial and non-trivial part of Drake's 37 billion streams on Spotify during that time frame were inauthentic and appeared to be the work of a sprawling network of bot accounts. Plaintiff is informed and believes that an examination of Drake's music streams reveal abnormal VPN usage, seemingly designed to obscure true geographic origin of bot accounts that were streaming the songs. For example, plaintiff is informed and believes that over a four-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of the Drake song No Face came from Turkey. But they were falsely geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to the United Kingdom in an effort to obscure their origins. Furthermore, plaintiff is informed and believes that a large percentage of accounts streaming Drake's music were geographically concentrated around areas whose population could not support the volume of streams emanating therefrom. In some cases, massive amount of music streams, more than 100 million streams, originated in areas with 0 residential addresses. Moreover, plaintiff believes that geohash data shows that nearly 10% of Drake's streams comes from users whose location data showed that they traveled a minimum of 15,000 kilometers in a month, move unreasonable locations between songs, include more than 500 kilometers between songs, roughly the distance from New York City to Pittsburgh. Also, they're saying that the volume and time of the music streams for Drake music failed to follow typical established streaming patterns. While most songs and albums see an initial spike in streaming upon release, those same songs and albums typically follow a predictable decay pattern over following months. However, in many instances, the streams from Drake's music saw a significant and irregular uptick in months, in some cases years. Now, by the way, this would be easily understood if you understand streaming. When Drake drops new music, Hotline Bling goes up, Headlines goes up, God's Plan goes up. So it's not, that wouldn't be irregular, but this guy's claiming it is. Drake's decay rate was slower and less dramatic when compared to those of his contemporaries. Additionally, the number of, actually, by the way, this has a lot more stuff about Drake than I thought. Like, this nigga look like he really don't like Drake, which probably would fuel a reasonable person to think this is a disguised lawsuit that's probably coming from over TDE and shit, you know? Or not TDE, but PG Lang or one of Kendrick's people, right? Additionally, the number of streams of Drake's music is attributable to individual accounts is staggering and irregular. For instance, plaintiff is informed and believes that while the average Spotify listener listens to 10 songs per day, a massive amount of accounts listen to Drake's music, listen exclusively to Drake's music for 23 hours a day. Plaintiff is informed and believes that the streaming data of Drake's music shows that less than 2% of his user accounts, music shows that less than 2% of his users accounts for roughly 15% of his overall streams. I would think that's normal. Your super fans are going to be the bulk of, or a good majority of your streams. And roughly 9% of his streams are attributable to less than 1% of his users. As a result, Drake's music accumulated far higher total streams compared to other highly streamed artists, even though those artists had far more users than Drake. As a result, which, by the way, here's the thing. Drake puts out more music more frequently. So even if he has less monthly listeners, he probably still will have more streams. This person's not really catering for that explanation, though. As a result of fraudulent streaming scheme described above with respect to Drake's music, the right holders of Drake's music saw their shares of the revenue pool substantially and artificially increased. That generated Drake and his company. We first seen this frozen moments thing when Drake filed the petition actually against iHeart, Spotify, and UMG. Then he later filed a lawsuit against UMG, but we're seeing frozen moments a lot more now, huh? The amount of streaming revenue would have otherwise been distributed to legitimate rights holders, but for the fraudulent boosting of Drake's music is estimated to be in hundreds of millions of dollars. Spotify knew or should have known about the anomalies described above, and had they employed reasonable detection measures, these artificial and inauthentic streams were readily identifiable to Spotify in light of their statistically improbable geohashing, sudden surges in stream accounts, coordinated stream patterns, and uniquely slow and shallow decay of streaming songs. Okay. All right, so that's most of the Drake stuff. Then they mentioned Drake here again. Where is it at? Let me just go down. Okay, here we go. Ultimately, through negligence, it failed to Okay, so it looked like they're using Drake as an example here. This is a complaint, so I'm wondering where they're getting their information, because Spotify isn't that open with sharing all the information that you could really pinpoint and do some type of external analysis on if the streams that they're counting are botted for any artist. So I'm wondering how this guy is getting it. In fact, this is filed in federal court. I'm kind of wondering who the hell are his lawyers? Baron Bud PC? What the fuck? Hold on. Sometimes you gotta look into the law firms here, chat. They got this up there. Who else have they represented? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I suggest this. I will think this lawsuit's going nowhere. If Drake couldn't win versus UMG, this bum ass rapper is not winning versus Spotify. You're not winning versus Spotify. You're not winning versus what the fuck? Oh, yeah. You're not winning versus Spotify. You're not winning versus UMG. You're not winning versus none of those artists. None of those companies. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is a responsive move to Drake claiming that Kendrick is botting, and even suing UMG heavily insinuates that Kendrick is manipulating numbers. I think the new way how most, I don't know, maybe it could be even UMG that's kind of pushing this, or it could be, I would less likely think it's them, or it could be somebody over Kendrick's team or somebody affiliated with it, because this seems less than a lawsuit to actually get some real type of progress. It feels like to change the headlines of, wait, Drake bots too, right? So that's like the new thing. Drake is a botter too. Like, I think they were trying to defend Kendrick with the botting, and then after a while they were like, fuck it. Let's just say they do it too, right? Have you there's this like reality show. It's called, I think, Casa